Picture this: the iconic set of Full House, the heartwarming sitcom that defined wholesome family entertainment in the 90s. Laughter fills the air, the cameras capture those classic Tanner family moments, and the world falls in love with America's favorite TV dad, Danny Tanner. But behind the scenes, a secret so scandalous, so jaw-dropping, it threatened to unravel the squeaky clean image of the show we all adored. Bob Saget, the man who played the lovable, germaphobe patriarch, was hiding a side so wild, so outrageously NSFW, that the mothers of the show's child stars were ready to throw down to protect their kids. This isn't just a quirky behind-the-scenes anecdote. It's a story that flips everything you thought you knew about the Full House universe upside down. Grab your popcorn, because we're diving deep into the controversy that's got everyone buzzing in 2025. What really went down on the Full House set? Fast forward to 2025, and Full House star Andrea Barber, forever etched in our hearts as the quirky Kimmy Gibbler, just dropped a bombshell that's reigniting our obsession with the beloved 90s sitcom. In a raw, unfiltered interview with Entertainment Weekly, Barber pulled back the curtain on her late co-star Bob Saget, who tragically passed away in January 2022 at the age of 65. On screen, Saget was the embodiment of wholesome dad energy as Danny Tanner, the widowed father raising 3 daughters with the help of his lovable extended family. But behind the scenes, he was a completely different character, a boundary-pushing comedian with a penchant for humor so crude, so wildly inappropriate, that it sparked a fiery clash with the protective parents on set. Andrea spilled it all. A source close to the Full House cast dished to Entertainment Weekly. Bob's potty mouth was the stuff of legend on that soundstage. He dropped these outrageously raunchy one-liners, and the moms, especially those of Candace Cameron Bure and Jodie Sweetin, would storm over, absolutely livid, demanding, "Bob, knock it OFF." These weren't just playful scoldings or light-hearted banter. This was a full-blown showdown between Saget's unfiltered comedic persona and the fierce maternal instincts of parents determined to shield their young daughters on a show marketed as family-friendly. Why does this revelation hit so hard? Because Full House wasn't just a TV show, it was a cultural cornerstone, a beacon of wholesome values watched by millions of families every week. The notion that its leading man was sneaking X-rated humor around child actors as young as toddlers? That's the kind of scandal that could have tanked the show's reputation if it had leaked during its original run. The drama unfolds on set. Let's paint the scene vividly. It's the early 1990s, and the Full House cast is hard at work on a bustling Los Angeles soundstage. The cameras are off, the crew is resetting for the next take, and Bob Saget, fresh from his late-night stand-up comedy gigs where he'd shock audiences with his no-holds-barred humor, is in his element. He's cracking a crude joke, maybe a cheeky jab about Uncle Jesse's obsession with his hair or Joey's questionable pizza obsession, and the young cast members, including Candace Cameron Bure, Jodie Sweetin, and the Olsen twins, are giggling innocently, blissfully unaware of just how inappropriate the punchline is. The atmosphere is light, playful until it isn't. Suddenly, one of the moms swoops in like a protective hawk, her voice slicing through the laughter. "Bob, that's enough," she snaps, her tone leaving no room for negotiation. The set falls silent. Saget, sporting that signature mischievous grin, raises his hands in mock surrender, but you can tell he's secretly reveling in the chaos he's stirred up. Andrea Barber, now 48 and reflecting on those days with a mix of fondness and amusement, shared these stories with a chuckle. "Bob was like a big kid himself," she told Entertainment Weekly. "He had this infectious energy, always pushing boundaries just to see how far he could take it." But the moms? They were not having it. The tension wasn't a constant cloud over the set, but it was palpable when it flared up. These weren't just any parents. They were fiercely protective mothers navigating the treacherous waters of Hollywood, an industry already infamous for exploiting young talent. Candace Cameron Bure, who played the eldest daughter DJ Tanner, was around 10 years old when Full House began. Jodie Sweetin, the spunky Stephanie Tanner, was just 5, and Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, sharing the role of adorable Michelle Tanner, they were barely toddlers, not even 2 years old when they started. For their parents, Saget's off-color humor wasn't just inappropriate. It was a glaring red flag in an environment where boundaries were often dangerously blurred. The media fallout from Barber's revelations is exploding in 2025, 3 years after Saget's untimely death. Social media platforms like X are ablaze with heated debates, with fans split right down the middle. Bob Saget was comedy gold, but maybe dial it back around little children? Grimacing face, one user posted, capturing the unease of many. Another fan jumped to his defense, firing back. "Y'all are acting like Bob was some kind of villain. He was just being his authentic self." Major entertainment outlets are having a field day with the story. Bleeding Cool framed it as a quirky, nostalgic anecdote with headlines like "Full House Mom said, 'How rude,' to Bob Saget's dirty jokes." But other publications are digging deeper, raising tougher questions about how much of Saget's behavior went unchecked and what it says about the dynamics on a set filled with young, vulnerable stars. Was this just harmless, playful banter, or a symptom of a deeper clash between Saget's dual identities? The truth is sparking conversations that are as divisive as they are fascinating. Who is Bob Saget really? To fully unpack this drama, we need to understand the enigma that was Bob Saget. On one hand, he was Danny Tanner, the warm, neurotic widower who taught us life lessons about love, family, and resilience. He was also the affable host of America's Funniest Home Videos, a role that cemented his image as a family-friendly icon in the 90s. But off-screen, Saget was a comedy renegade, a provocateur who thrived on pushing boundaries. His stand-up routines were notoriously filthy, packed with shock value humor that would make even the most open-minded audience blush. He leaned hard into this duality, often poking fun at his own wholesome persona in interviews. "People think I'm this clean-cut, goody-two-shoes guy," he'd say with a sly smirk. But that's not the real me. This split personality wasn't a secret to those who knew him. Long before Full House, Saget was a staple in the gritty comedy clubs of the 1980s, sharing stages with legends like Richard Pryor and Sam Kinison. His humor was raw, unfiltered, and deliberately provocative, a far cry from the sanitized world of network sitcoms. When he landed the role of Danny Tanner, he didn't exactly leave that side of himself at the door. Instead, he brought it to the Full House set, treating the soundstage like his personal comedy club between takes. Andrea Barber stories paint a picture of a man who saw the set as a playground, a space to let loose and entertain the crew with his irreverent wit. But that playground came with strict rules, thanks to the presence of child actors and their vigilant parents, and Saget was constantly testing those boundaries.